Everyone, I have Theresa Caputo with me today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is awesome.
I am so excited to talk with you today. I know that you are soon going to be going on tour in the South Carolina area, which we are here in North Carolina with Beasley Media Group Charlotte. But South Carolina is right next to us. So we are excited to hear more about your tour and kind of how COVID has been with you at home over the past year. And
Yeah.
just about you. One of the first questions that I have for you is how has, COVID affected you at home, just your personal life?
Well, like everyone else, everything just came to a halt. I was used to being out on the road filming, and it was just everything just came to a complete halt like everyone else. I was very fortunate because I live next door to my parents. And my kids were home with me. My son lives in Manhattan. So when they did the lockdown, he came from Manhattan and he came back to so I was able to have my kids with me, my parents. So we all kind of quarantined together. Did we have our ups and downs? Absolutely. Struggles, but we were able to do it together. So I was very fortunate in that way.
That's beautiful. And of course, in a full house like that, there's always going to be ups and downs.
Yes.
I did see with Discovery Plus, your show there in spirit with the whole family there. It was just amazing to see that you got to spend time too with those close family friends that,
Yes.
in town. So that is a blessing in disguise, I think, from the whole pandemic. With COVID-19, have you felt differently with spirit? Have you felt more connections? Have you how has that affected your abilities?
So as far as the connection, it's kind of the same thing, Alexis, and I don't mean to compare COVID to Halloween, but people would always ask me that around Halloween. They'd be like, oh, so do you feel the spirits more? Are they coming to you more because it's Halloween? And it's like, no. It's like this every day. You have to understand what I do is through loss. And the thing that I find interesting, Alexis, is that when I decided to do what I do for a living, because I struggled with my gift for many years. And right after 9/11 happened is when I knew that I needed to do this for a living, because people needed to find peace. People needed some type of, I don't like to use the word closure because I feel closure is so final. Maybe if they need closure on the death, but we still have that bond with our loved ones, with the souls of the departed loved ones. So and throughout this pandemic, and you saw on, Long Island Medium on Discovery Plus, one of the readings that I was do, and people will be able to connect with this, I feel, through COVID, losing someone, not knowing what happened. Same thing with 9/11. Nobody knew what happened, right? Were they afraid? Were they suffering? Were they scared? Were they alone, right? One of the readings on Discovery Plus this season was a woman who had lost her mom. I don't know if you saw that episode. And the mom came through with all of these validations that she knew that her daughter was calling the hospital every day, that the nurse would come in and hold her hand and tell her that her daughter called, and all these things that the daughter said to the nurse. And it was so healing for that woman, because she says, I wondered if my mom knew. I wondered if my mom understood why I couldn't be there, if my mom knew that I was calling every day. So those are the moments that I found extremely healing and a lot of peace during COVID, because people received that validation that their loved ones were okay.
The validation is still there. You can still connect with your viewers and your listeners over so many different mediums. And, that kind of segues in. I was going to say, how has that been, being over Zoom or phone or.
Right. But that's the thing. This is what I learned. I said, I tried to find, like most of us, a silver lining during the pandemic, right? And one of the silver linings was that I discovered that I was able to do Zoom readings, read people a different way. That's how I started my podcast, Hey Spirit, and to connect people, not only in the United States, but all over the world. And people that never the opportunity. But you have to realize, I learned a long time ago from channeling the souls of the departed, is that when they pass, they are no longer part of that physical body. So we tend to worry about all of those things. From the moment the soul leaves the physical body, Spirit has told me over and over that they leave any disability, ailment, disease with the physical body. They do not take it with them on the other side. So they are completely healed.
Amazing. So, and you might have already said this, maybe this one had already been the memory that you have, but during the readings that you've done through the pandemic,
Right.
has there been any specific one that sticks to you, that stands out, that you want your viewers and your listeners to know about specifically?
I think all of the COVID-19 one with a woman where she lost her mom to COVID. There was a family. They all had COVID. It was a woman, husband and wife, and their 3 daughters.
Oh, I saw that one.
They all had COVID. All had COVID, and the husband was so sick. He didn't want to get the rest of the family sicker. He drove himself to the hospital. He was the only one that died. And they all were left with this burden and this guilt of what if he was home, like that they were sick, that they couldn't do anything for him. And the validations that he came through in reassuring them that his soul was at peace, that they needed to take care of themselves. They should not feel guilty about taking care of themselves. They were all so sick. I mean, the messages are just, I think because everyone kind of was affected, we lose people in our lives, right? Death is a part of life, right? So, but when it happens all at once, and think about it, even if someone, Alexis, over this past year, nobody died. We all lost something over this past year. And this also validates my book that I wrote, and it came out in October of 2020. It was long before COVID. And I wrote about how a loss is a loss, that we grieve and mourn anything that we once had, no matter what it was, a job, finances, a home, an argument, retirement. And this book called Good Morning really validated that for so many people over the pandemic. And the other thing that I learned, and what I've learned through Spirit, Alexis, is that a loss is a loss, but more importantly, it's okay not to be okay some days, right? Like, it's okay to have a bad day. And I just discussed this with Sean T the other day. We had a discussion on our podcasts, and I was saying to him, but I only allow myself to have that like one day. Like if I'm having a bad day, it's like, Theresa, I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, Theresa, you got 24 hours to get it together.
Yeah.
I will give you this, and that's it. You have to make a better day tomorrow. And that's, I think, because people always ask me, how do you stay so positive? And that's what I do. I don't, and it's hard. It is hard, especially when we have to live without a loved one. But that is the thing of what I love about doing my live shows, because you might not personally get read, but you're witnessing these messages of hope and faith and peace. And it's okay to move on with your life after the loss of a loved one.
I was going to ask, so are you like excited to get back out there and do these live shows? I bet it's like it's like a sigh of relief that you can finally do this. I mean, we waited almost more than a year, I feel like. So I know that people are excited to attend more events, especially events like this that bring such positivity to people. So, what are you expecting for listeners and viewers that come out to your shows?
Oh my God. So I always say this to people. The only thing you can expect is me showing up in a great dress and fabulous shoes. No, I'm only kidding. It really is such an amazing moment. I'm so proud of the intimacy that we're able to give, and still through this pandemic create a safe space for everyone. So if you purchase tickets, you're purchasing a pod, which you only, seated with the people that you came with, and then you're 6 feet apart from everyone else. Everyone wears a face covering, and people, are saying, oh, you know what, I'm so tired of the face covering. But you know what, if this is what we have to do to get back out to a new normal, I'm willing to do it. I wear a face covering through the whole show as well. And I say, this is a huge sign of hope of us, things getting back to a new normal. Right. So I come out on the stage, I give a little quick speech on what people could expect. on how I channel and read, because not everyone might be familiar with what I do that come to the show. And spirit then will just guide me around the space. I will stop in front of someone and start channeling their loved ones. And to witness and to feel the energy that you feel in the room is unbelievable. There's nothing like it, because people say it all the time. They're like, I had no idea what to expect when I went there today. I personally did not get read, but what I witnessed was absolutely life-changing.
And I think that is a very important thing to, tell people, is that there are people out there that are skeptics, of course. And
yes,
like this past year has brought a lot of people, to explore their spirituality a lot more, meditation even, and, coming out to an event like this and experiencing it, it's a once in a lifetime thing. It's something that I think should experience.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because look, I'm the first one to say that what I do is crazy. How in the world can someone communicate with someone that has died? I'm the first one to say it. But all that I know is that I sense and feel things that really don't mean anything to me, but they're life-changing to the person that spirit is having me talk to. And yeah, there might be common things that spirit might bring up and talk about. But then with every healing message that spirit has me deliver, they have to validate it with something unique to the person that they have me speaking to. So it might be something that happened years ago to remind them of happy times. Spirit might bring up and talk about something that happened since they've died to validate that they're experiencing life through their eyes. And then spirit will talk about things that we haven't shared with anyone else, how we personally feel about something. They channel with that personality, which validates that from the moment the soul leaves the physical body, they leave behind every disability and or ailment. So spirit still, after all of these years of sensing and feeling spirits, which will be almost 50 years, because I'm 53.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
No, you are not. You are not.
No, I'm not. Only on paper.
Oh, amazing. So best-selling author, 4 books. You had your previous tour. Now you have the experience coming out. You have your podcast and Discovery Plus with the There in Spirit, which I love that name, by the way, because it's hard, because some of them are all over Zoom, to be, there in spirit. And now we have your new tour. I am so excited. I encourage everyone to go out, see Theresa Caputo, Long Island Mediums, new experience. Again, it will be all CDC safe. You'll have an amazing time. Thank you again, Theresa, for everything.
I appreciate you so much for having me on, for sharing me with your listeners. And you know what? Even if someone doesn't come out to the show, I know even our conversation right now is going to help someone. Maybe, have them look a little bit, notice those signs and symbols. And that's really the main message of why I do what I do. Know that anything that you sense and feel, there's no such thing as a coincidence. If it reminds you of your departed loved one, know that that's a little hello from heaven. Know that that is their soul letting you know that they are with you at that exact moment.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm so glad I got to meet you.
Oh, me too.
Is there anything else that you would like to say, just in case? Or
I think, you know what? If you have nothing else to do, come down and check out the show.
All right.
You have nothing to lose but negativity. That's how I say, right?
You're such a ball of joy. I love it. This is a perfect morning interview. Thank you. Well, stay safe. Enjoy your travel. Stay safe.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Yes. Okay.
Have an awesome day.